morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Keng Hua from Reveres. Thank you for joining our webinar hosted by Reveres Academy and Cambodia Chamber of Commerce. Okay, our presentation for today is Unlock Your Team's Creativity and Stay Productive in a Rapid Changing World. So we are glad to have Mr. Hazriq to tell us all about this creativity. Okay, so that's what we are talking today. So first, there are questions that we are asking. Are our teams feeling stuck and not productive? And are our team facing challenges in generating amazing ideas during our team meeting? So in this era of rapid changing world, we need to innovate to stay productive and keep moving forward. However, due to numerous efforts, we might still find ourselves getting stuck. So Mr. Hazriq is going to unlock our team creativity to overcome this obstacle of getting stuck. While many people associate creativity with arts, in this session, he will take us on a journey and discover that there are three key learning points here. The misconception of creativity and what creativity is really about, and why is it important for the team to possess, especially in this rapid changing world. So the principle of team creativity is also to increase your team agility and be more productive. So let's understand, a bit about our trainers, Mr. Hazriq. He's a stage actor and turned professional speaker, and he's very passionate about topics like creative leadership and communication. He's an author of The Stage Fright Antidote and Power by Creativity, and also co-authored 10 other books. He has been featured on regional media such as the Straits Times in Singapore and the Radio 938 Live and Brunei Times, among others. His past clients include BMW, Petronas, StarHub, and some other government agencies in Singapore. Mr. Hazriq is a graduate of University of Southern Australia and has a Bachelor in Communication and Media Management. He also runs a team at the Speaking Factory that are passionate about developing creative leadership in professionals, leaders, and teams. He's also currently an associate lecturer in a local polytechnic in Singapore, delivering modules on innovation and design thinking. So let us invite Mr. Hazriq to give us insight of creativity that he's talking about. Thank you, Mr. Hazriq.
Good. All right. Once again, thank you very much for being here. And I believe you can see my screen as well. So today's topic, unlock your team's creativity and stay productive. All right. Before we begin, to start with, this session is not going to be a one-way session where I'll just be speaking and you'll be listening. There'll be some activities as well. So for the next few moments, if you're able to get yourself ready, grab yourself a pen and paper to take down notes and for the activities. And along the way, I would need you to contribute some insights in the chat box required along the way. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's get started to this topic. Unlock your team's creativity and stay productive in this rapidly changing world. Let me start with this story by the story I call the balloon story. All right, this story is about a company who actually did a team building session where there's about 35 of them in the team. So during the session, the facilitator got everybody, each one of them, a balloon and a marker. So what they need to do are 3 rounds of this activity. They actually need to blow the balloon, make sure it didn't pop. And then once the balloon had been blown, they need to write their name on the balloon. So once all 35 people has written their name there, they will just leave the balloon on the floor and then they need to leave the room. So once they left the room, the facilitator will mix and match the balloons. That's round 1. Round 2, these 35 people got into the room again, and what they need to do now is, without any sound, without any speaking, they would need to search for the balloon that has their names written on them. So off they went, walk around, find the balloons, and after 10 minutes, not everyone has got the balloons. There are some, but not everybody. So that's the end of round 2. Go for round 3. This time round, the facilitator went to say that now find the nearest balloon, grab the balloon that has the name written on it, and pass that balloon to the rightful owner. So what they do, they grab the nearest balloon with the name, whatever name they have on it, they pass it to the person who owned the name. And this thing happened within just less than 1 minute. Everybody got their balloon. And this is the beauty of this activity. So what can we learn from this activity? A very simple one. 2 simple reasons. Number 1, if we work in silo, we work alone, we can get things done, but it might not be that efficient. So as a team, if you're willing to share, willing to share the resources with other people, willing to pass what you know to the rest, this is what teamwork is all about. Because teamwork is not just about working together. Teamwork is also about taking care of one another. It's also about trusting one another and sharing and caring and respect. So this is why teamwork is important. And of course, the second reason, if you are able to work as a team, you are able to solve problem better as a team. So that is the essential of what today's topic is all about team creativity. By doing this, you are able to work as a team from moving from a less productive into being more productive as a team. And what I mean by that, when I say less productive, which means in solo, you could be stuck doing work, or you could be moving slowly. But when you work as a team, you are able to get things done fast. That's a beauty. But the challenge right now, we are living in a rapidly changing world. Things change. What you see today may not appear tomorrow. What you don't see today might appear tomorrow, which means our job might change. Our direction at work might change. Our business direction might change. This is what actually happened to Kodak film, right? So back in those days, Kodak is one of the giant in the film industry. They use film for cameras and stuff. But in 2012, they had to file a bankrupt simply because they did not keep up with the challenge, they did not keep up with the current situation of the VUCA, because things change. And this is what we need to do as a company, what you need to do as a team at work. Because for now, in this current situation, we need to have teams who are able to navigate fast to find solutions. We cannot just sit on our laurels and wait for things to happen. We need as a team to be able to look for opportunities, even in a bit challenges. You need to find that opportunities to work. And very importantly, to continue from being productive in these uncertainties. We need to continue our work. So in order to do that, what can we do? So that's a survey done by IBM back in 2010. They actually interviewed CEOs around the world, about 1,500 CEOs. And based on the survey, they realized that among the top skills needed in this era, in this VUCA world era, is creativity. And creativity is the #1 skill we need to use, which means as a team member, we need to have the skill. As a leader, we need to have the creativity skill. And as a team, we need to have that skill, because creativity is able to help us to be agile, help us to be able to sharp focus, looking for situation and looking for solutions for problems, and to be able to be quick-witted to find solution almost instantaneously. So that's the beauty of having creativity. Now, the problem lies this. What if I'm not in the creative industry? I had this question in one of my seminars. In some of my seminars, I remember one particular seminar I was giving on creativity. One participant came up to me and said, before the session, he came up to me and said, Hazriq, I'm not in the creative industry. Why must I be learning creativity for? That's a very interesting insight I got from the person. It's not the only one. There are many other people have the similar sentiment. So this is what I'm going to do. For the next 30 seconds, can I invite all of you to write in the chat box, what is creativity to you? Just write in 2 or 3 words. Don't have to be too long. All right, in about 30 seconds, in the chat box, write down what is creativity to you. All right, and then I will take it from there. 30 seconds. Go ahead. Yep, keep on coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. All right. Nice. Okay, let me just go through some of the sample answer that you gave. All right. We have, what is creativity? Creativity is, to some of you, initiative of new things. Yep, nice. Think differently. Yep, things about things. These things, interesting. Innovative. Yep. New idea to solve specific problem. Yep. Ability to create something new and absorb every existing thing. That's interesting. Yeah. Something new, able to solve problem. Nice. Think new ideas. Nice. All right. So these are very good answers. Because what happened is, when we received the earlier query by one participant, they said he's not in the creative industry. So what we did, we actually did a survey, asked the same question, what is creativity to them? And based on the results, it's very interesting because about 40% feel that creativity is about arts, it's about the artistic, music, dance, theater, film, painting, sculpturing, about 40%. And the other 60%, just like what most of you written here, is about problem solving, it's about finding new ideas. So these are what I call the non-artistic creativity. So the thing is this, even we have about 40%, 39.2% said that creativity is about artistic creativity. The thing is, these people who feel that way, they are not maximizing the creativity, because creativity is not just about artistic. Yeah, because there's a study by Dr. John Bauer from the Rider University in the US. He said that creativity is applicable across domains, and he specifically mentioned 7 domains of creativity. Let me just do a quick run through of these 7 domains. Interpersonal. We need creativity when we talk to other people. That's interpersonal. Entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur running your own business, you need to have creativity in you to create new ideas, new products, new services. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you're working in the company, you're an employee, you can still have what we call the intrapreneurial spirit, which you can use creativity. Performance. Work performance, you need creativity. Maths and science, you definitely need creativity right now. Currently in this pandemic situation, the scientists out there are finding cure for this COVID-19. They are now using their creativity to find ways to find that cure. Problem solving, definitely. These are the main thing about creativity, because creativity is all about problem solving. And if you notice, among these things, only 2 are about the arts: artistic visual and artistic verbal. This is it, right? It's only about 2 categories of the rest of the category. So this is to show that creativity is applicable beyond things, beyond arts. Only 2 categories of arts. The rest is applicable, and that's the beauty. So we know that creativity is beyond arts. We know creativity is applicable to be innovative. So what actually is creativity? So this is what we are going to find out today. We're going to discuss about today. All right, there's no hard and fast rules about creativity. But I particularly like what Steve Jobs said. He shared that creativity is about connecting things. And this is very interesting because we as humans, we can't create things out of the blue, out of thin air. We can do that, right? But we have resources around us. We're able to pick here and there, put things together. And that is what creativity is all about. Be able to connect things together. And I learned this during my days in acting. in stage acting. I started as a stage actor. So in acting, we work with a lot of people, especially the directors. This director, we need to work with the actors. They need to work with the stage managers. They need to work with the lights person. We need to work with the wardrobe, with the makeup artists. There are many, many people they need to work with. So the director are actually connecting these things together to collaborate and come up with a production. Usually production of such 2-hour production, we take about 3 to 4 months training in advance before that. So theater actually a very good example of working as a team. So having this, and after starting doing theater, I moved into doing innovation and creativity training with agencies, and putting all this experience together and based on my reading up, I came up with this, my personal definition, all right? This says that creativity, to me, creativity is the ability to synthesize dots and create value, all right? So you might be wondering, what is these dots? Okay, to me, these dots, I even have a formula for this. CR is creativity. So creativity is P plus I equals E. That creates a value. And P is the people you meet. I is the info and knowledge you receive. And E, the experiences we get in our life. So that is what we call the creativity, the formula for creativity. So having this in mind, let's bring this into our team's creativity. How we're going to unlock our team's creativity to go through to be productive in this rapidly changing world. Dr. or Professor Gerard Pacquiao from the Buffalo State University in US, he recommended in order for us to increase our team creativity, 3 elements must be present. He mentioned specifically the leaders must be able to control their team members as well as creating the environment for the people to be able to work together. Let's break it out into this framework, what I call the team creativity framework, which you can apply back in your company and your teams as well. Let's go through one by one. Number 1, team creativity framework number 1. What is it? Leaders as idea champions. The thing is this, we as a leader for our team, we may not be creative, just like one of my participants came up to me. We may not be creative. However, as a leader, we need to know about creativity. And that's very important because if we know about creativity, we are able to harness the creativity within the team. So in general, what is actually creativity? How to know about creativity? There's a study, this term coined by J.P. Guilford, an American psychologist back in the 1950s. He came up with this term. He mentioned creative thinking process has 2 terms. One is the divergent thinking. The other one is convergent thinking. Divergent thinking is where you generate ideas, and convergent thinking is where we decide on the ideas. Have you ever experienced where in your team meetings, your meetings is so long that you cannot find a solution? Or in a meeting, somebody give an idea, but then when you give your idea has been shot down almost immediately. Have you had that experience? Yeah. So more often than not, that thing happened because as a leader in the team, we did not specify whether the meeting is for a divergent thinking process or convergent thinking process. Usually in a meeting, there are 3 types of meetings. One is for information purpose, purely for information or educational. Second is for divergent thinking to generate ideas. And third reason is for decision making, the convergent thinking. So as a leader, you need to differentiate which part of the meeting you are, so that your participants, so that your team members are able to come prepared. So at divergent thinking, this is where no shooting down ideas allowed for divergent thinking, because this is an experience I had in one of my creativity session during the idea generation stage. What happened was, in one of the creativity session I had, I get the participants to, in little groups, to list down as many uses of straws based on the picture there. So they have to list down in 10 minutes as many uses of straws. And after 5 minutes, a group came up to me and he said, Hazriq, we are not able to come up much idea. Can you help us? So I said, yeah, sure. So I went to the group, I listened to the presentation, and I listened to the conversation, and their conversation was something like this. When somebody said, how about we use straw to keep sugar? And somebody else would say, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And when somebody else said, how about we use straw as a clothes hanger? And somebody else would say, yeah, but I don't think that's possible. And so on and so forth. And this is the conversation they keep on having during the team discussion. And then I know what went wrong. They were using this conversation called yes, buts. Can we do this? Yes, but I don't think so. Can we do this? Yes, but I don't think so. So yes, but is actually an idea killer in terms of idea generation. So in idea generation stage, when you are discussing to generate ideas, if somebody stop your idea, that is idea killer. And usually they will use the yes but conversation. And yes but conversation will kill idea. It also fear that the idea didn't work, and that it also promotes negativity, because if you give an idea, you're either being shot down, you still feel okay. Second time you give idea, you either being shot down, you may still can able to take it. But by the time you give a third idea, you're either being shot down, by then you do not want to give any more ideas, right? Because the culture that time was using the yes but thinking. So in idea generation segment, you need not, or in fact, you must not use yes but conversation. Instead, use another statement, what we call the yes and. Yes and is one of the technique I learned in theater, where if you watch musical plays or movies, actors on stage, they act out the show based on script. The directors give them script, the actors act it. Right? There's a script for them to follow. But in improvisational theater, they're up on the stage, there's no script. Based on the suggestions given by the audience, they then put on the show using the yes and philosophy. So what happened was, I used this yes and philosophy in my idea generation session. So back to the group earlier on, I told them, hey, you were using this yes but conversation. Now, can you, instead of using yes but, have a yes and conversation instead? Now, interestingly, the conversation changed. So when somebody said, how about we put sugar in the straw? Somebody would say, yes, that's a good idea. And how about we use it as a clothes hanger? Somebody else will say, yes, that's a very good idea. And how about using straw as a shoelace? And this time around, more ideas keep generating by using yes and. Because there's a beauty of yes and. When we use yes and, three things happen. Number one, you're acknowledging people's idea, and that is a very good empathy to as a team. Second, you build on your friend's idea, getting more idea and more idea. And then as you guys were doing that, you actually connect and collaborate. And that's the beauty of yes and. So this, as a leader, you need, even though you are not creative, you need to be idea champions. You need to understand how creativity works so that you can facilitate idea generation. So that is principle number one, or element number one, leaders as idea champions under the team creativity framework. Let's move on to framework number two, or element number two, unity in diversity. We all know working as a team is like a jigsaw puzzle. Everyone has that little piece. Everyone is a little piece of a bigger jigsaw puzzle. The thing is, everyone is unique, but everyone is complementing each other, because if one of the jigsaw puzzles is not there, the whole team can't function. So how can we work together as a team? How can we increase our creativity as a team? Having this unity in diversity. Earlier I mentioned about this formula. Creativity is P plus I equals E. which means every team member has PIE in them. Everyone. What we need to do is to tap on them and to work together. And how to do that is to understand their behavior. You might have known this, but this is one of the easiest way to understand people's behavior. There are many personality ways to understand behaviors out there. I'm special on DISC, so I'll share DISC today. So what is actually DISC? This is actually behaviors people behave at work, at home, or at any places. Any behavior can change depending on the situation. So at home, you can behave certain situation, but at work, you can behave differently because of the environment. That is why leaders need to create that environment so that people can work together. So let's break down what is this DISC all about. This is a personality done by Professor William Marston. He actually created this personality, and you can do it online as well to find out what actually personality type or behavior type you are. So in a team, you need to have all these four. Some of us could be more of D, some of us could be more of I, some of us could be more on S and C. But as a team, you need to have all these four so that you can work together. Let's break it down. D. What is D? D is what we call the dominance or the driven behavior. And usually D people they like to emphasize on results, like to emphasize on the bottom line. What's the outcome of it? These are the D people, and usually D are the leaders, usually, yeah. And the way they behave, you can understand that they like to see at the big picture. They like to go straight to the point, don't have to beat around the bush. That's not their type when you talk to them. And they can be blunt at times, but they are what they are. So as a team member, when you know that these people are behaving this way, you need to adapt to them. Because when you adapt to one another, only then you can work as a team. Yeah. So these are the D kind of behavior. Take a look, whether are you the D or do you have D people in your team? So this is the D behavior, the dominance or the driven behavior. Next is I. I, what we call the influence or the interested in people. These people, these I people, they emphasize on influencing, persuading, and relationship building. It's all about people. And how to know? Usually how they behave, you can see that they are very they're very enthusiastic, they're very positive and optimistic on even when things are down, they are very optimistic, they can go ahead with the solution. And they like to work with other people, they enjoy collaboration. And they don't like to be alone, they don't like to be ignored. If they say something, if we snub these people, they will get offended. Yeah, because these people are very people oriented. These people usually are the fun people in the team, so that if not, the team will be very boring. So we need this kind of people to bring life, to bring lively to the team. All right, so this is the I people. Let's see whether you are the I people or you have met people with the I behavior. So that is I, influence or interested in people. Next. S, steadiness. Steadiness are the type of people who emphasize on sincerity, cooperation, trust. They're very supportive. How to know? You can see in terms of their behavior. Usually they will talk very slowly, very calmly. They don't rush things and they don't want to be rushed. Yeah. So, and most of the time, these people are the supporters. They like to support whatever ideas that the team come up with. They will support. They will do their best to help the team realize the idea. They are very supportive. These are the people you need in the team. Yeah, so that you can work together as a team. So as people, they are very sincere and very cooperative. Check back whether are you the S kind of people or have you met people with the S behavior in your team. All right, so that's the S. We have covered D, dominance or driven. I, interested in people. S, steadiness. And come to the C, compliance people. Compliance people emphasize on quality and accuracy. They like numbers. They really, really like numbers. And what we can do is from their behavior, they are able to, they like to focus on details. They like to see spreadsheet. They like to focus on details. All right. And when you will give idea, you need to provide them reasoning so that they can understand better. And they don't like to be wrong because they are so detailed that they do not like to be wrong. So we need this kind of people in the team as well to work together. So this, when people have come with ideas during the idea generation, during the idea or during the decision making segment, these are the people that will be there to come up that, hey, is this good or no good idea? We need this kind of people. So as a whole, DISC in a team, you must have the dominance people, usually leaders, may not be the leader, but sometimes most of leaders are the kind of leaders. You need to have the interested in people behavior people in their team. You need the people to have very steady as well as compliance. This works together. And leaders, you need to be able to mix all this together. That's where the talking about respecting one another, very important, adapting one another, very important, being agile one another, very important, so that the team can work together as a team. So that is the framework or element number 2, unity in diversity. And I would recommend in team creativity, always go for individual strength. Look for their strength. Don't look at their weaknesses. You can acknowledge the weaknesses, but look for the strengths and how the strengths can help them in your team. All right. So that is framework number 2, unity in diversity. Let's go for the final framework, the creative environment. So when we talk about creative environment, 3 elements must be present. The element of curiosity, the element of challenging the status quo, and the element of celebrating failure. So as leaders or as team members, you need to have this kind of environment in a team. Only then you can raise your team creativity level. Let's go in each one of them. Let's go to the first one, curiosity. Talking about curiosity, I'm going to share this story. I want to bring you back in the year before 1968. Back in those days, when people play high jump, it wasn't like what you see in the picture. They jump like that. Those are when people did high jump, people run like hurdles. They would jump forward like hurdles. Only that the hurdle is higher. That's what they did. So there are many methods to do that. So one particular guy by the name of Dick Forsberry, he tried high jump. He tried, but he just couldn't jump over the bar. So he was finding ways on how he could do it. He tried and tried and tried, and I realized that, hey, how about he jumped backwards like in the picture here? So he did and realized, hey, he could jump. So he kept on practicing again. He could jump higher and keep on practicing again and keep on jumping higher. So much so that in 1968, he managed to represent US in the Olympics. And not only he represented US, he won the gold medal for being high jumper. And not only that, he created this technique called the Forsberry flop. So 1968 is the year this method of high jump was introduced in the Olympics. And since then, this was the most popular way to do high jump. So let's see, let's go into his brain and deconstruct how he came up with that idea to do this kind of high jump. It all comes back with curiosity. And there are 3 methods or 3 breakdowns, 3 steps in terms of curiosity. The first one, when Dick couldn't jump, he asked the first question, what I call the analytic question or analysis question. He asked the why question. Why were the current techniques were not effective for him to jump higher? So this is the analysis, which means when you are at work or at home, when you have a problem, use this as a first step. Analyze why this thing happened. This is to find out the root cause of a problem. After you do the analysis question, ask the next question, what I call the reframing question. So instead of, oh, I can do it, change that thinking into, how can I jump higher? That was what Dick Forsberry did. So after he analyzed the question, after he found out what technique didn't work, he asked himself, how can I jump higher? This is the reframing question. And when he asked this question, a lot of ideas came. And among the ideas that came up with, he asked this question, what if I jump backwards? Will I be able to jump higher? And this is what we call the trigger question. So the moment you ask what if question, you will come up with a lot of ideas. And from there, you can then select which idea is better. And this is the thing about creativity. I must say that all ideas are good ideas. Yeah, I must repeat this. All ideas are good ideas. Only that some ideas are suitable, some ideas are not. That's the only thing, given at that context. So for Dick Fosbury, when he asked this question, he realized that this idea was suitable for him. So if we were to sum up, this is what we call the art of curiosity. He asked the analysis question, which is the why question. He then asked the reframing question, the how can question. And then he asked the trigger question, the what if question. So this is the art of curiosity under the first element of creative environment. Let's go to the next environment. Challenge the status quo. Okay, this is what I need you all to do. Early on, I asked to grab yourself a pen and paper, or you can even use your smartphone if you want to. The next 1 minute, what I need you all to do is to draw these 9 dots as shown in the picture, and I need you to join these 9 dots using 4 continuous straight lines. 4 continuous straight lines. Yeah? All right, take about 1 minute to give it a go. Some of you might have done it before. Take it as a refresher. And for those who have not tried it before, this is an opportunity to try out. But don't worry, I'll share with you the answer later on. Let's take about 1 minute to join these 9 dots using 4 continuous straight lines. And no lifting out of pen is allowed. Go ahead. 1 minute. If you are able to complete it, in the chat box, just type complete. There we know. All right, 1 minute. All right, probably about 30 seconds. Yep. All right, some of you might find it a bit challenging. It's okay. When I first time around, try this activity, I find it a challenge myself. But once you find the answer, it's very interesting. All right. Okay, 10 more seconds to go. All right, yes, you must think out of the box to come up with this idea, correct? All right. All right, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, even if not completed, it's okay. All right, let me just share the idea. Let me share the answer. All right, join the 9 dots using 4 continuous straight lines. Let's see, first line, you should be able to draw this way, across. Yep. Draw across, first line. And you can notice my line go beyond the last dot. Second line, do it this way. Go beyond the last dot again. And then third line, bring it up back to the original starting point, and then go diagonal this way. This is the sample answer. So far I've not known any other answers, but this is the sample answer we always got. All right. So if you manage to get it, give yourself a pat on the back. All right. Give yourself a round of applause for able to continue, able to find the answers. All right. If you're not, it's okay. But because most of the time, most people are not able to find this solution. Why? Simply because when we are faced with a challenge, imagine this is the challenge, the 9 squares, we tend to come up with our imaginary box. This is the problem. Once we have this imaginary box, you are not able to come up with that solution. So this is what we need to do. We need to think out of the box. Like one of our friends here, Reaksha, right? He mentioned, you need to be able to think out of the box. Because it's only when we think out of the box, then we can come up with a solution. Because like what Albert Einstein said, he said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when you created them. We need to do it differently. So one of the common ways to think out of the box is to think reverse thinking. For example, in countries, most countries have a zoo, right? And most of the zoo are in the day. But in Singapore, we actually do a reverse thinking. Instead of having a day zoo, we have a night zoo called night safari. So we can visit the zoo in the evening. So only those animals that are okay to be watched in the evening, you can attend the night safari. That's another one method of reversal thinking. The other one is F1. Some countries have F1, yeah, all right, and most of the F1 are in the day. Whereas Singapore think the opposite. They have the night F1 race, and Singapore is the first one to Singapore is the first country to do a night F1, and they've been doing it for many years right now. Yeah, so just have a opposite thinking or reversal thinking. So this is what you're going to do as a leader or as a team. You want to encourage your team member to be able to challenge the status quo, and 3 simple methods to do it. To be curious about things. So when you are able, when you are at work, when you're faced with a problem, be curious about it and find gaps of any improvement that you can make it. And then experiment with new ideas, because challenging status quo is all about experiment with new ideas. Don't worry about getting wrong. Don't worry about failure. And talking about failure, this is where we're going to touch on the final part of this segment. On the creative environment, we talk about challenging status quo. Now we're going to talk about the final part, the celebrate failure. So about celebrating failure, I want to share with you this story about Alfred Bartz. I want to bring you back to the year 1930. Architect Alfred Bartz, during the Great Depression that time, he was retrenched and he was unemployed. But being an architect, he wanted to do something with his hands. So he decided he wanted to do a game for the people. So he did research. So he did his research and realized that people in the US at that point of time like 2 things. They like to play word game and like to play game with chances, like throwing a dice or putting hands in the packet and draw something out. So these are the kind of game people like to play. So he had that in mind, and he did a second round of research. He looked into the newspaper, the New York Times at that point of time. He analyzed the words. He calculated letters, the common letters in the newspaper front page, any common letters, he would put a value. He put a value of 1 for the common letters. For not common letters like Q or Z or X, he put at a higher value. So with this in mind, he put it together and created a new board game, a new game rather. And if you mention Scrabble, you are almost right, because he created this game called Lexico. Alfred Bartz created this game called Lexico, which became Scrabble later, if you're familiar with Scrabble, right? So Lexico was the first game he created. He then bring this idea to many games manufacturers, but somehow the game manufacturers did not like this idea, so he sell on his own. But by 1934, only about 84 games were sold. So he did not take it as a failure. He continue, go back to the drawing board and see what he can improve. And this is where he came up with. This time around, instead of the tiles, right, he now have boards. Then he renamed his game into crisscross words. The problem by then is that because there wasn't any marketing and distribution, the game was not popular. Again, he went back to drawing board, and by then he created Scrabble, improvement from Lexico and crosswords. And by then, only in 1952, Jack Straus, that time was the president of the Macy's department store in the US, chanced upon Scrabble while on holiday. He thought this game was very interesting. So when he went back after his holiday, he bought units of Scrabble, and that was the moment where Scrabble was selling at 6,000 units weekly. The sales skyrocketed. And the thing is this thing was started in 1930s. It's only being sold in 1952. How long was that? And to Alfred Bartz, it wasn't a failure. It just is a resilience. And this is what I think what I like to share about resilience. It's not about how many times you have fallen. It's about how many times you are willing to get up from the fall. This is what we need to do as a leader in the team. We need to be able to have that resilience. You need to be able to put aside failure. There's no such thing of failure. Everything that goes wrong is actually a learning lesson. If we can learn from that lesson, that will help us to move forward. So how to do that? How to actually encourage resilience in our team. 3 simple steps. Number 1, as a team, acknowledge that you are having a failure or not good situation. Understand that we are all human and failure is part of the process. Take it as a learning process. Yeah. Step number 2, reflect and review. Find out what are the positives out of it. Always find out what are the lessons, because anything that happened wrongly, there's always lesson from it. All right. Because learning increases knowledge and experience increases wisdom. This wisdom will help us to move forward. And step 2, maximize the situation. We learn this from this mistake, learn it and take advantage of this so that we can benefit the team and benefit others. So in a nutshell, it's called the method. Acknowledge the situation. That's what Alfred Butts did. Acknowledge his situation. He reflects and review what he can do differently. And then he maximized to make it better. So this is how we celebrate failure and increase resilience. So in a nutshell, as a leader, as a team, you need to have the creative environment of curiosity, environment of challenging the status quo, and environment of celebrating failure. So if you to put this together, the 3 framework for team creativity. First, you need to have leaders to be either champions, to be supportive of your team's idea, never say no for their ideas, and have make sure the team maximize their diversity, be united in the diversity, and lastly, create that creative environment. So this, I hope to give you the simple framework on how you can unlock your team creativity. So before we go into the question and answer segment, 3 simple steps, 3 simple actionable items for you to go or immediately for you to do immediately after this session. Number 1, I would recommend you to identify which of the 3 elements of team creativity framework that you would like to work on. It could be leaders as either champions, it could be unity in diversity, or creative environment. Identify one, and then commit. Part 2, commit and make improvements, make plans so that you can make improvements on that. And number 3, make sure you do it, make sure you execute and rinse and repeat for the other 2 elements so that it can become better. So in a nutshell, I call it the I's. Identify the 3 elements, C, commit to make improvements, and then E, execute, rinse, and repeat. Yeah. All right. So before I show my final few slides, probably at this point of time, we're going to take in a question and answer. Okay, we're taking question and answer right now.
Yeah. Okay. I think one of the questions is, which type of people should we adapt to?
Which type of people should we adapt to?
Your DISC.
Okay. We need to adapt to every kind of people. Just the thing is, we need to understand what the type of people they are. You have a conversation with them, find out which are they, what type of behavior they exude, and then you adapt to their style. And being creative, we are able to adapt. And how to be adaptable? Use the yes and. Yeah. So when people say something, don't not literally say yes and, but have a yes and attitude, yes and thinking. So acknowledge the idea, then have a conversation with the person. The key word is have conversations and never to put down people's idea. So when we adapt to other people, and when your team member adapt to you, you are actually helping one another. That's how we adapt. So we need to adapt to all this, DISC. The thing is, we as a person, we might have, for me, I am a high I, right? Some people might have a high C. So we have our, what you call the major, the dominant, DISC, but we can always adapt to other people because we are all human. We can easily adapt. I hope that answered the question. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah. So,
any other question from the audience?
Yes, and currently there's not much question from the audience. I think they are quite overwhelmed by your.
Well, oh really? All right, thank you. All right, so if there's not a question before I hand over officially back to Kay, well, let me just end my last few slides. My presentation. I like to share this. We understand. If you are familiar with Spider-Man movies, Uncle Ben Parker, he always share this. With great powers comes great responsibility. I like to tweak a little bit for creativity. This is the quote I like to share. With creative powers comes creative teams ability. With that, Hazriq signing off. Thank you for being here and all the best in unlocking your team's creativity. With that, I officially hand over back to Kengwa. Thank you. Hand over.
Yeah, thank you, Hazriq, for the kind sharing. It's
Thank
very
you.
informative, and actually we have really learned a lot about creativity and really think out of the box from now, not just restricting to what we are doing now.
Yes.
Okay, I think we are quite on time for late. So this will be our upcoming sharing for next week, which is a webinar on personal branding. Yep. Please register in advance and hope to see you all in this coming. This personal branding is not just true for corporate, and it's also for your own self. I think it's for both individual and corporate. Yeah. So feel free to register for the course, and also we would have more intensive. If you want to know more about the DISC and more about it, we would have an upcoming course coming from shared by Mr. Hazriq, and we will keep you all informed in our website or Facebook. Yep. So thank you very much for attending this session, and hope you have a great day today. Yep. Okay, thank you. We'll see you soon. Please register for this upcoming webinar. Thank you.